whenever I'm offered a soapbox to talk about, I always feel like I have to make this point, right? Because it's still a source of frustration to me that so few companies focus on internal moves and supporting internal moves. And you're seeing this here, right? That the data is a little, you got to take a look at it. But basically what it says is internal moves are supported by far fewer companies than people being hired from the outside. And executives making internal moves are supported least of all. And if you think about the impact that those people have, right, the fact that you're asking them to take often very big leaps with, small, medium-sized enterprise, you're often pushing talent, further, faster, right? You're making big bets on people. You're putting them into jobs that are a huge stretch for them. And then you're not supporting that transition. I'm not saying you're not, but I'm saying in general, organizations don't do as good a job of that as they should. And so I'm always an advocate that says you should be focusing on accelerating everybody taking a new role. Don't just narrow your focus to onboarding new hires, right? Think about those critical moves you're making internally, because the very same tools that you use to help someone onboard can also be used to speed up those internal transitions. I'd have you take a look at this list, but think about it through the lens of the remote world that we're operating in, right? So this is some early research that I did on what are common mistakes that leaders make going into new roles. And some leaders, they look at it and they treat it like a checklist, right? Like I did that one there, and I remember doing that one, and ooh, that one really hurt, But again, you still see people making these mistakes, right? Sticking with what they know how to do and not really understanding that they've got to, do things differently in the new role, right? And oh, by the way, the hiring process can reinforce that sometimes, right? I'm hiring someone in from the outside. They're good at putting in place, product development processes. You tell them, I want you to come in and do that. They will understandably think that that's what they're there to do. But of course, the story is a much more nuanced one, right? But the risk is always that someone's going to come in and continue to do what they're continuing to do, right? And given that it's harder to learn in the remote work environment, that risk is even higher, right, for people coming in from the outside. I would emphasize the last one, right, which is not spending enough time building, those critical peer relationships, right? Focusing too much on your team and your manager and not laterally enough. This is not typically as much a problem in small, medium-sized enterprise because there's such connectivity typically within the team. But even there, you've got to be very careful, right? You don't want to be failing to build critical relationships with key people who are peers early on, only to discover, that they're absolutely essential to your success.